All right, we are live. This is Sound Booth Theater Live, and these are the cold reads for Chronicles of the Lazarene by Charles Soule. This is part 2 of the cold reads. And what's up, Henry Lenwind? Leanwind? Fuck, I forgot how to pronounce your last name, dude. I'm sorry. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you for coming to hang out with me while I figure out this narration project. So this is Chronicles of the Lazarene by Charles Soule, who is a comic book writer, or at least I'm not. I haven't talked to him exactly about how he prefers to be seen in the writing world. If he prefers to be seen as a novelist, considering he's written quite a few. Let's see. Chronicles of the Lazarene is a novella. And it is a branch off of another novel that he released last year called The Endless Vessel. I think that's his third independent novel. But he's also written like Star Wars novels before. He's written for licensed properties, and he's written a lot for Marvel for comics, and he's got a lot of independent comics. Is he curse words? Is he the curse words guy? Yes, he wrote Curse Words, which is looks like a funny idea. I have not read it yet, but it looks like fun. And I actually did read 8 Billion Genies. That's another one of his independent comics that I really liked. Yeah, so this Chronicles of the Lazarene is a companion to his last year's release, The Endless Vessel. And I'm trying to find the right voice for it. So the main character is a Spanish geologist from like 1810. And this whole thing is his diary entries. I know that there's other bits of narration here as well that are somebody else, but I haven't gotten to those bits yet. But yeah, this is so the difficulty here is I think that there's some folks and also Charles who aren't quite on board with my Spanish accent, which is fine. It's not something I'm like super great at or an expert at or anything, but I would like to get better at it. So what I'm going to do today, even if it turns out I have to re-record this, I have to re-record this audiobook, I'm going to proceed assuming that the Spanish accent is the right way to go. And I'm going to continue to try and improve this accent so that it sounds authentic to this character. So some people don't like the Spanish accent as much. Some people liked the Spanish accent better than what I was doing alternatively, which was more of a old-timey English accent, like UK English. I think it's kind of split. Like there's something, not really, it doesn't really match him and his voice, and if you know that he's Spanish, then hearing the English accent kind of throws you off. But but the Spanish accent sounds more like the character, but also maybe my particular performance of it leaves something to be desired. But what I'm going to do today, I'm only going to go for an hour, because Charles won't be able to get back to me about which one he likes better, the English or the Spanish, until late tonight. So I'm just going to go for one more hour, just practice this Spanish accent, see how far it gets. And I don't want to record much more than that because I don't want to redo too much work. But if he prefers the Spanish, I'll keep going with it. And I'll probably re-record chapters 1 and 2 just because, I needed this lead-up time to practice it and get better at it. But also, if he likes the English accent better, I'm going to have to re-record all these anyway. But that's okay. That's my job. I'm the one who offered to do it in a special way anyway. That's what people come to me for. And here goes. Let's give it a shot. We're on the 3rd chapter here. June 1810. June 1810. Afloat. I am now aboard a ship. much larger than the small craft that brought me here from Escule Vermel. All right, so I need to look up that pronunciation. Escule. Escule? Escule? Escule Vermel. I wonder if he's got that. Yeah, he's got it.
Escule Vermel.
Bermel. Okay, so I forgot. In the Spanish accent, the V and the B kind of sound the same. Much larger than the small craft that brought me here from Escule Vermel. I am now aboard a ship, and that was a very loud and annoying notification. I'm going to mute. Where are we? Here's loopback. Yeah, that has been turned off for some reason. Here we go. Okay. Fix that. I am now aboard a ship much larger than the small craft that brought me here from Escule Bermel. I am now aboard a ship much larger than the small craft that brought me here from Escule Bermel. Escule Bermel. Don't write with V's. I am using Spanish accent. It's not fair. I'm now aboard a ship much larger than the small craft that brought me here from Escule Bermel. It is like none I have ever seen. The vessel was christened as the Lazarene, and in naming it, I am also able to give a name to the people whose strange society I have joined. They call themselves Lazarenes, and I suppose I must call them Lazarene. They do not have the Z sound. The vessel was christened as the Lazarene, and in naming it, I am also able to give a name to the people whose strange society I have joined. They call themselves Lazarenes, and I suppose I must call myself one as well. Luis Pedrona. Lazarene. What a strange thing. I've been aboard for several weeks. I do not know exactly where the ship is currently located, only that it is somewhere in the I do not know exactly where the ship is located. I do not know exactly where the ship is currently located, only that it is somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean. I do not know exactly where the ship is located. I do not know exactly where the ship is currently located, only that it is somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean. I do not know exactly where the ship is currently located. I do not know exactly where the ship is currently located, only that it is somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean. We passed through the Straits of Gibraltar not long after I boarded. Let's see how they say Gibraltar.
Gibraltar.
Is this the Spanish guy? Yeah. I need to keep this guy's
Spanish pronunciation. Gibraltar. British English pronunciation. How is they said in the UK? Gibraltar. American English pronunciation. US. Gibraltar.
Gibraltar. Did he have it in here? No, he does not. Gibraltar. We passed through this. Glad I checked this one. S is almost a TH, but it is, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just not. It's not easy to listen to. That's why. I can't be like, that's the difference between, being like exact, being authentic, and like being an entertainer, like if you want people to listen to it, then you got to figure out the things that, okay, maybe it's authentic, but it sucks to listen to, Only that it is somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean. We passed through the Straits of Gibraltar. Gibraltar. Let's try it again.
Spanish pronunciation Gibraltar.
Gibraltar. We passed through the Straits of Gibraltar not long after I boarded. This vessel, among its many other unique qualities, is exceedingly fleet. And now we sail upon a dark sea, deep and strange, far from any land I know. Before commencing this entry, I reviewed the two that preceded. I saw a mention that I had reconsidered my lifelong distaste for sea travel, based on a brief journey I undertook from Valencia to the Balearics. Based on the brief journey I undertook from Valencia to the Balearics in M. Coriander's well-appointed yacht. Based on the brief journey I undertook from Valencia to the Balearics in M. Coriander's well-appointed yacht, I considered that my hatred for the ocean was perhaps unwarranted. Hatred of the ocean. God damn it. Based on the brief journey I undertook from Valencia to the Balearics in M. Coriander's well-appointed yacht. So I turned that W into a V, which I should not have done. Based on the brief journey I undertook from Valencia to the Balearics in M. Coriander's well-appointed yacht, I considered that my hatred of the ocean was perhaps unwarranted. But now, after being aboard the Lazarene for many days, let me say this is as... But now, after being aboard the Lazarene for many days, let me say this as clearly as I can. My sentiments were entirely warranted. This ship is a wondrous place, full of extraordinary people and their incredible achievements. I am thrilled to be counted among their number. Every word in this paragraph is completely true. It is equally true that much of my time aboard has been spent in utter misery. The Lazarene as in... Misery. The Lazarene is in constant motion, both horizontal and vertical, which means... No. The Lazarene is in constant motion, both horizontal and vertical, which plays havoc with my equilibrium. The Lazarene is in constant motion, both horizontal and vertical, which plays havoc with my equilibrium. The other members of the crew are sympathetic to a point, but I sense a general feeling that I am expected to suffer until my suffering ceases, as I become accustomed to my new home. Home. So a little more texture, a little more in the H's. That's what I need to do. The Lazarene is in constant motion, both horizontal and vertical, which plays havoc with my equilibrium. The Lazarene is in constant motion, both horizontal and vertical, which plays havoc with my equilibrium. The other members of the crew are sympathetic to a point, but I sense a general feeling that I am expected to suffer until my suffering ceases, as I become accustomed to my new home. They spent their time learning how to live this way, and now I must do the same. I was assured by the ship's surgeon, a grim Russian with eyebrows like untrimmed hedges. I was assured by the ship's surgeon, a grim Russian with eyebrows like untrimmed hedges, named Evgeny Chogolovsky. Evgeny Chogolovsky. I was assured by the ship's surgeon, a grim Russian with eyebrows like untrimmed hedges, named Evgeny Chogolovsky, that no one has ever died of seasickness. That no one has ever died. That no one has ever died. That no one has ever died of seasickness. That may be true, but for a time, I was convinced I might be that. I was convinced I might be that. I bore even myself. What person does not turn their guts inside out within the first weeks of a lengthy sea voyage? I'm resorting to cliched, safe observations. I'm resorting to cliched, safe observations that will fill pages, and more importantly, time, because there is much. I am resorting to cliched, safe observations that will fill pages, and more importantly, time, because there is a much greater story I need to tell. But I am afraid too, nervous too. I am uncertain. Probably both. I've never talked about these things before. I've never talked about these things before, barely even taught them. And now, even though I am only talking to myself in this journal, it remains difficult to wipe away a lifetime of careful reticence. Avoidance. But that time is done. It is. And it is good. So, I will talk about these things, but I must find my own way to them. Let me begin by describing my initial impressions of the Lazarene. A day may come when the wonders of this place will become commonplace to me, and that would be a great tragedy, for this ship is truly astonishing. Too late now. It's too far gone. Thank you, friendly neighborhood nitpicker. It is a three-masted vessel of the type I would call a merchant ship. It is a three-masted vessel of the type. It is a three-masted vessel. It is a three-masted vessel of the type I would call a merchant ship. It is a three-masted vessel of the type I would call a merchant ship, though I am not overly familiar with nautical terminology. It possesses sails, a crew, a captain of dignified and competent character named Tilroy, and I would assume many other attributes common to other craft of its ilk. But there, the resemblance ends. Ordinary ships function as a mode of transportation, going from place to place to fulfill a specific purpose. Ordinary ships function as a mode of transportation, going from place to place to fulfill a specific purpose connected to some terrestrial business, commerce, war, exploration. The Lazarene, in contrast, seems designed to avoid touching land at all costs. It sails with the weather. Moving across the seas. It sails with the weather, moving across the seas, rarely entering port except to resupply. Even then, the interaction between the crew and those ashore is kept to a minimum. Even, even, even then, the interaction between the crew, even then, the interaction between the crew and those ashore is kept to a minimum. Or so I am told. I have not yet seen the ship approach any port, but it will have to happen at some point. The Lazarene is a world unto itself, as much as it can be. It operates like a village or a small town, complete with families, its own culture and rituals. And why? Why do this ship and its crew seem so focused on remaining separate from the rest of humanity? I do not know, though I can surmise. The ship seems to have taken every norm. The ship, where is this? The ship seems to have taken every norm of so-called polite society and turned each on its head. Aboard the ship, all work equally at all tasks, with no distinction made based on Aboard the ship, all work equally at Aboard the ship, all work equally at all tasks, with no distinction made based on race or country of origin or religious affiliation or any other set of beliefs. Even the sex of a person is not a defining factor in what they do aboard this ship. An Oriental woman is as likely. An Oriental woman is as likely as an Englishman to be found performing the essential tasks of the Lazarene's crew, including those heavily physical. And they would be dressed in an identical manner. Trousers, to be clear. Similarly, the Englishman might be found caring for or teaching the children aboard. Yes, children from newborn babes to boys and girls nearly grown. Yes, children from newborn babes to boys and girls nearly grown. The Oriental lady would be as respected in her scholarship as any. And again, I am getting ahead of myself. The most fascinating thing about the Lazarene is not the equity of its small society, though that is notable indeed. The most fascinating thing about the Lazarene is not the equity of its small society, though that is notable indeed. It is that this is a ship of thinkers. Everyone aboard, everyone aboard, with the exception of a few crew members, possesses scholarly credentials equal to or in excess. Everyone aboard, with the exception of a few crew members, possesses scholarly credentials equal to or in excess of my own. Not all were obtained through formal education. Everyone. So there's something that tricks me when I'm narrating. Sounds versus letters. So I said of, and I actually used the V sound, even though it's an F. It almost escaped my notice. Everyone aboard, with the exception of a few crew members. Everyone aboard, with the exception of a few crew members, possesses scholarly credentials equal to or in excess of my own. Not all were obtained through formal education. My understanding is that many aboard the Lazarene learned their trades through apprenticeship or servitude to skilled individuals, some rather famous. Eugenia Greaves. Eugenia Greaves, you will recall her from my previous entry, is one of the ship's lead engineers, responsible for devising many of the cunning clockworks used aboard. She was once the wife of a London watchmaker. Anne Beaton, a freed American slave, worked at the right hand of no less than the American statesman and inventor Benjamin Franklin, where she came to understand the principles of electricity, another key component of the Lazarene's many novel technological systems. Dr. Chogolovsky once plied his trade at the court of the Russian Empire. Dr. Chogolovsky once plied his trade at the court of the Russian Emperor, and so on, with what seems to be a similar story for everyone aboard. I have not yet met them all. There are well over 100 people on this ship, But every person I've met has been deeply impressive. But every person I've met has been deeply impressive in one way or another. But every person I've met has been deeply impressive in one way or another. Impressive. But every person I've met has been deeply impressive in one way or another. There we go. That's a little bit better. So, and I can't, I have to be careful. So the F can be a V. The V must be something else besides V because they do not have V. It's either going to be a B or an F. I have discovered. So F or B, one of those two. I was going for too much B before, I think. When I first boarded the ship, I was given an introduction to its history, modes of operation and hierarchy, all of which were much abridged and clearly left out key details. Molly Calder was mentioned, but I did not meet her then. Molly Calder was mentioned, but I did not meet her then. Little information about her was provided, other than the idea that she was the great benefactor behind the Lazarene's existence and was in control of its voyage. But I have a keen ear, and in weeks... But I have a keen ear, and in the weeks that followed... But I have a keen ear, and in the weeks that followed, I picked up on snatches of overhead gossip and anecdotes, enough to piece together a few facts about Mrs. Calder. As I understand it, she was once the owner of a very successful textile mill. In Massachusetts, the former British colony in America. She oversaw this enterprise with her husband, a man named Apollo, and it made them both wealthy. Apollo, sadly, passed away unexpectedly. For some reason, this inspired Molly to build the Lazarene, collect as many great and accomplished minds as she could to live and work aboard it, and set sail. For some reason, this inspired Molly to build the Lazarene, collect as many great and accomplished minds as she could to live and work aboard it, and set sail. There is clearly more to this story. No one would create and fund such a grandiose venture without some expectation of a goal it might achieve or financial profit. Indeed, I have the impression that these people are about some great work, one to which I have not yet been introduced. Hey, Blind Justice, good to see you. Thanks for coming. There is clearly... Perhaps I will discover it in time, or perhaps it is some great secret that can only be shared with true Lazarenes. For I am not yet one, not truly, despite having given up my life. For I am not yet one, not truly, despite having given up my life on land. For I am not yet one, not truly, despite having given up. This one is hard. For I am not yet one, not truly, despite having given up my life on land. Shit, this is hard sentence. For I am not yet one, not truly, despite having given up my life on land. For I am not yet one, not truly, despite having given up my life on land. It has been extremely clear to me that before I can truly be considered one of them, I must learn to sail this ship as well as any crew member aboard. This is one of the ship's great rules. Every Lazarene is a sailor, and if they are not one, they must become one. The road of life does take unexpected turns, does it not? I, Luis Pedrona, a man who has lived most of his life in a landlocked city. Luis Pedrona, a man who has lived most of his life in a landlocked city and has avoided the ocean at all costs, am now trying desperately to learn the arts of the sailor. This is no small undertaking. This is no small undertaking. To perform this job properly, one must have a complete understanding of everything from ropework to rigging. Wind and weather become a language of their own. The significance of the smallest breeze must be understood. Breeze. The significance of the smallest breeze must be understood, and how that might differ if it occurs at dawn, dusk, or sometime in between. And beyond these translations, there is an actual language to be learned. The terminology aboard a ship is novel, confounding, and endless. A mast is a spar, but a spar is not necessarily a mast. It is berth, not bed. It is passageway, not hull. Deck, not floor. Line, not rope. A dinghy is not the same as a ketch, and neither of these is a sloop. And the slang, the secret language of the sailor. I know which end of a rope is bitter and which is working. I know to what a scuttlebutt refers, and why no one wants the dog watch. It is like It is like enrolling in a new course of study at a university, but one that not only engages every past of my mind. It is like enrolling in a new course of study at a university, but one that not only engages every past of my mind, but leaves me broken and exhausted at the end of each day. My hands rough and my skin baked by sun and salt. In some ways, though, it is good that I did not come to the Lazarene as an experienced sailor, because this ship is not an ordinary vessel, and any prior training I might have tried to use here could have gone badly awry. The ship looks, at first glance, like any other. Masts, sails, a hull, but throughout its form are endless modifications and enhancements, the operation of which must be undertaken with extreme care. The geniuses aboard the Lazarene have applied their ingenuity to the ship itself. Yeah, I don't know. Every past of my mind, that's as written. Let me look back at it. Maybe he means part. Every part of my mind. That's probably what it is. This is just so well edited that it's hard for me to, like, as in I have found no other typos, so I'm hesitant to call out a typo even when something doesn't seem to make sense. It's only one letter off. Yeah, I think I'll redo it. Thanks for bringing it up, because it was a speed bump in my brain that I just kind of ignored. But throughout its form are endless modifications and enhancements. The operation... It is like enrolling in a new course of study. It is like enrolling in a new course of study at the university, but not... It is like enrolling in a new course of study at the university. It is like enrolling in a new course of study at the university, but one that not only engages every part of my mind, but leaves me broken and exhausted. Leaves me. Why, thank you, Taylor. Taylor Pajoni. I just pronounced that name, right off the top of my head. Didn't need any coaching. It is like enrolling in a new course. It is like enrolling in a new course of study at the university, but one that only engages every part of my mind. It is like enrolling in a new course of study at the university, but one that not only engages every I keep doing it. Part of my mind. It is like enrolling in a new course of study at the university, but one that not only just tripping up on myself the entire time. It is like enrolling in a new course of study at the university, but one that not only. This is the thing that sucks about doing an accent that's fast. It is like enrolling in a new course of study at the university, but one that not only engages every part of my mind, but leaves me broken and exhausted at the end of each day, my hands rough and my skin baked by sun and salt. I'm going to try one more time. It is like enrolling in a new course of study at the university. It is like enrolling in a new course of study at the university, but one that only engages every part of my mind, one that not only... Jesus. It is like enrolling in a new course of study at the university, but one that not only engages every part of my mind, but leaves me broken and exhausted at the end of each day, my hands rough and my skin baked by sun and salt. There we go. In some ways, though, it is... The geniuses aboard the Lazarene have applied their ingenuity to the ship itself. So there's this one sound, oh. I'm sort of taking that sound from like Eastern European. I think that is one thing that people, they were pointing out. Hey, there's something about this that sounds Eastern European. But they don't have those kinds of vowels. Their vowels are very straightforward. Oh is not a thing in the Spanish accent. The geniuses aboard the Lazarene have applied their ingenuity to the ship itself. Everywhere, strange machines buzz and hum. Linen-wrapped copper cables carry electrical impulses. Everywhere, strange machines buzz and hum. Linen-wrapped copper cables carry electrical impulses from lightning engines created by Anne Beaton. Thus power is conveyed to devices and laboratories set up throughout the ship in the manner of channels from a water wheel. Electricity is used for many unusual purposes on the Lazarene. I can admit my own astonishment when I learned that the ship's cook uses the power of a thunderstorm to roast the ship's meat. The engineers aboard the vessel, consisting of Mrs. Eugenia Greaves and her many assistants, Eugenia Greaves. The engineers aboard the vessel, consisting of Mrs. Eugenia Greaves and her many assistants, have devised ingenious gadgets to control the ship's rigging, to steer it, to ease the requirement of human labor wherever possible. There's that vegan. The engineers aboard the vessel, consisting of Mrs. Eugenia Greaves and her many assistants, have devised ingenious gadgets to control the ship's rigging, to steer it, to ease the requirement of human labor wherever possible. Lazarene chemists have devised a method. Lazarene chemists have devised a method to purify seawater and render it drinkable. While the end result is not as palatable or as sweet as fresh water from the shore, I am assured it will preserve life. There is even a small, preserve. I am assured it will preserve life. Preserve. While the end result is not as palatable or as sweet. While the end result is not as palatable or as sweet as fresh water from the shore, I am assured it will preserve life. Preserve. While the end result is not as palatable or as sweet as fresh water from the shore. While the end result is not as palatable or as sweet as fresh water from the shore, I am assured it will preserve life. There is even a small farm aboard. There's even a small farm aboard, an entire deck of the ship devoted to growing fresh vegetables. An entire fresh vegetables. There's even a small farm aboard, an entire deck of the ship devoted to growing fresh vegetables. The entire ship is, in essence, a grand experiment, from chemistry to biology, to medicine, to astronomy. Every scientific discipline is represented. From chemistry to biology to medicine to astronomy, every scientific discipline is represented. More than that, old ideas are twisted and pushed into new directions because aboard the Lazarene, crew members constantly share their techniques and theories with each other. A glassblower's method for removing bubbles from a window pane offers a solution to a metallurgist purifying some new alloy. A glassblower's method for techniques and A glassblower's method for removing bubbles from a window pane offers a solution to a metallurgist purifying some new alloy. People who would never have shared ideas. People who would never have shared. Oh, thanks, friendly neighborhood nitpicker. People who would never. Yeah, see, I did a little bit more studying after I was done recording, and I just, I'm trying to hone in on it. Still working on it. People who would never have. People who would never have shared. People who would never have shared. Never have shared. People who have never. People who would never have shared. People who would never have shared ideas in traditional society might never have even met. Ah, too many V's. Never have even met. Never have even met. Never have even. Never have even met. Never have even met. People who would never have shared ideas in traditional society might never have even met. Never have even. Never have even. People who would never have shared ideas in traditional society might never have even met are offering each other the best of their intellectual selves. It is deeply inspiring. People who would never have shared ideas in traditional society might never have even met are people who would never have shared. People who would never have shared ideas in traditional society might never have even met are offering each other the best of their intellectual selves. It is deeply inspiring. Let me be clear, too, that it is not just the traditional senses that are represented aboard this ship. I have met mystics and fortune-tellers among the Lazarenes, even spiritists. I do not know what to think of their presence here. In my own homeland, the church has deeply censored such people. In my homeland, the church has deeply censored such people in recent years for their attempts to communicate with the dead. I agree with these measures. My concerns do not seem to be widely duplicated among my fellow crew members, however. From what I can tell, the magicians are treated with the same respect and afforded the same liberty to explore their area of study as any of the scientists on the ship. It offends me. I cannot say it does not, but I am still in many ways a guest here. If Molly Calder has brought these people aboard, she has her reasons, and it is not my place to try to change the Lazarene. I'm kicking my own ass at this, man. All right, only 15 more minutes. Sounds like I'm only going to get through a chapter because, I'm still working this out. But I feel like I'm getting better. Mr. Lazarene. It is too busy changing me. It is too busy changing me. This ship is strange and beautiful and questionable and disturbing and confounding. I could fill a page with descriptors, but beyond all else, it is free. But beyond all else, it is free. And this brings me to the words I truly wish to set down. I've spent hundreds of words and many pages and hours in a sort of dance that has kept me from telling the story that caused me to pick up my pen today. Everything I have said thus far is interesting and worth recording, but here is the tale I need to tell. One of the primary tasks assigned to the new crew members of the Lazarene is rope work. learning to tie the many knots crucial to the operation of a seagoing vessel. Square knots and ship shanks and bowlines. Something is outside. Something sounds like someone is flying in a plane. Very distracting. Very distracting. I don't think they use the G sound at the end, the ing. They probably leave that out because I don't ever hear a G sound in Spanish language that I know of. Even the Gibraltar. Square knots and ship shanks and square knots and ship shanks and bowlines and what seems like 1,000 more. I am terrible at it. I cannot get my fingers to create the necessary shapes. My career as a geologist means I work primarily with stones, which require little in the way of delicacy. A hammer and a shovel suffice. A hammer and a shovel suffice. A hammer and a shovel suffice for most tasks in my field. The fine manipulations of knotwork are beyond me, and I began to fear I would never truly become a sailor, never truly be accepted here. Noticing my plight, another Lazarene, a German physicist named Heinrich, offered to assist me. We spent time in my cabin, and I learned that where my hands are clumsy, his are clever indeed. Again, I dance. Heinrich and I were intimate in a way I could never have anticipated or dreamed of. Dreamed of. Again, I dance. Heinrich and again, I dance. Heinrich and I were intimate in a way I could never have anticipated or dreamed of. I've wanted these things for so long and have endured so many consequences any time I allowed myself to explore them. I lost my family. I've struggled with my faith's rules about these practices. I've denied myself, my true, actual self. My true, actual self. And yet here, now, aboard the Lazarene, it was all so simple, easy, natural, free. I think I love this place. The CH in Heinrich? I don't understand what you're saying. I think I love this place. I think I love this place. I think I love this place. Again, I dance. Heinrich and I were intimate in a way I could never. Are you thinking that I'm purposefully not making the CH sound? Because it should be just a regular K sound, right? Have Heinrich? Those aren't the same sounds though. Havoc? I'm not sure what you're saying there. Sorry, man. Okay, looks like I can do one more chapter because it's super short. July 1810. Still on this cursed ship. I think I hate this place. Why would a person take advantage of another, offer them affections, present a picture of a future and a connection that they first partly clearly desired, when the offering party had no intention of actually delivering on any promises made? Let me hear this whole paragraph here. I think I hate this place. Why would a person take advantage of another, offer them affections, present a picture of a future and a connection that they first partly clearly desired? Party. Offer them affect. Why would a person take advantage of another, Offer them affections. Present a picture of a future and a connection that the first party clearly desired, when the offering party had no intention of actually delivering on any promises made. When the offering party had no intention of actually delivering on any promises made. It desired, when the offering party had no intention of actually delivering on any promises made. One more time. I'm going to try from the top. Why would a person take advantage of another? Offer them affections. Present a picture of a future and a connection that the first party clearly desired, when the offering party had no intention of actually delivering on any promises made. Particularly when the first party clearly is not experienced in such matters and was so ready to find something true, powerful. Particularly when the first party clearly is not experienced in such matters and was so ready to find something true, powerful, and beautiful, because beautiful it was, something the first party wanted so badly and had sought their whole life, even if they had never allowed themselves to consider it possible because of the destruction it would wreak on such party's life and circumstances. Something the first party wanted so badly and had sought their whole life, even if they had never allowed themselves to consider it possible because of the destruction it would... So close. Let's try again. Particularly when the first party clearly is not experienced in such matters and was so ready to find something true, powerful, beautiful. Particularly when the first party clearly is not experienced in such matters and was so ready to find something true, powerful, and beautiful, because beautiful it was, something the first party wanted so badly and had sought their whole life, even if they had never allowed themselves to consider it possible because of the destruction it would wreak on such party's life and circumstances. When here, on this ship, a true life could have been openly lived. There are others aboard like me, trust me on that. No one blinks an eye, and Heinrich and I could have been... But that is... have been... Editor's note. The text here has been forcefully scratched out, almost enough to tear the page. Editor's note. But that is not what Heinrich desired. I am a fool, and he is a cad. Few of the things he told me or the promises he whispered to me are true. Now that he has obtained all that he apparently wanted, he barely has the time of day for Luis Pedrona. Motherfuckers. I wish I could sue the cold call people. Luis Pedrona. They're literally disrupting my day. The lessons he offered in the arts of the sailor have become infrequent and perfunctory. The lessons he offered in the arts of the sailor have become infrequent and perfunctory. I feel well used. And yet, if Heinrich were to knock on the door of my cabin, I would welcome him with all the affection at my command. The Lazarene is a place of elevated intellectual pursuits, a sort of heaven of the mind. Nevertheless, it remains all too human. And, of course, there is no heaven without hell. I think of myself as an intelligent man. A very intelligent man, in fact, and yet I have been so stupid. I cannot even look at these pages. I should tear out the last entry, or throw this whole damn volume. I should tear out the last entry, or throw this whole damn volume over the rail. I should tear out the last entry, or throw this whole damn volume over the rail, and let the sea take my foolishness. These pages ask me to examine myself in a fashion I no longer wish to entertain. I owe these blank sheets nothing. Expect no further entries. I will not write again. There. All right. So that's it for today, guys. Just wanted to do that 1 hour. Hopefully Charles will come back with, yeah, you know what? Your Spanish accent may not be perfect, but I think this is the way to go because this is a good feel. And I think that's a little bit more important than accuracy, personally, as a listener, is does the character feel like the character? Does the narrative flow? Maybe there isn't an authenticity necessarily in the exact accent, but but I think there's more authenticity in the representation of the character. Oh, thanks, Vorkson. Glad you liked it. I may or may not do. So I'm not going to be doing a stream tomorrow, but I might be doing one on Thursday. So watch out for that, guys. If so, I'll probably be a little bit further ahead. I won't necessarily be going in order because, there's a good chance that I get my feedback tonight and Charles is like, yeah, do the English version, and then I'll have to re-record chapters 2 through 4 here. Or he'll say, yes, Spanish version is great, in which case I will want to go back to the beginning, re-record chapters 1 and 2 anyway, because I think I can still do a better job with the accent. And then I'll continue on as much as I can tomorrow. I'm just not supposed to stream tomorrow because there's other stuff streaming on our channel. But thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out. I hope this has interested you enough that you will check out The Endless Vessel, which is the novel that this is a novella branch off of. This came out last year. And I hope you'll keep an eye out for when this actually releases on our platform. It's a short book. It's about 45,000 words, I think. So everything that I've narrated so far, I'm almost a quarter of the way through the book. So it's relatively short. Yeah, it'll be good, I think, when it's done. But yeah, watch out, guys. Maybe Thursday. Not sure. But just be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you will be sure when you get the notification. And, visit our website. Check all the links in the description below. And that's it for today. Y'all have a fantastic rest of your week if I don't see you. Later.